Lakesh in Veritas, everyone. We're sending you the frequencies of oneness and truth. You are tuning into Of the Sun's Suncast, our weekly podcast, bringing you elevated topics focused on expanding ourselves, humanity, into becoming the truth and moving ourselves into oneness. And we're coming live all the way from One Mind. We have LaOta of the Sun, the architect of this vibrant organism, who provides of the Sunners wisdom and guidance so they may find the truth to be free. I am Tavares of the Sun, certified instructor and practitioner of the Sun modalities, and creative director behind Of the Sun's artwork, programs, and sessions. We have Jessica of the Sun, author of 50 Women Anthology, and an advocate for Of the Sun, currently learning the teachings. So in Lakesh and Veritas.
In Lakesh and Veritas.
In Lakesh and Veritas.
All right. Well, for those that are listening out there in internet land, we have a special episode for you today. We're going to be speaking on new life and the magical power of our nutrient-dense allies, microgreens, and this process of sprouting and all the many benefits. So today we have a special guest who is deeply connected with the consciousness of sprouts, microgreens, and the gift of power and healing and new life that they bring to us. So this woman happens to be an In Lakesh franchisee owner for In Lakesh Studio 4. She's a community herbalist, also a quantum light property clearer. Go on, girl. Sprouted microgreener. She's a fermenter. Shout out to the cultured vegetables. And she's working primarily with women and children, also teaching teens and assisting with teaching them Ho'oponopono or Hosponsibility to assist with managing their thoughts and emotions. She's also big into eating live foods and also using highly vibrational herbs to assist with balance, and also working with moms, specifically pregnant and nursing, on a journey to proper health through eating and thinking, and also women's health for balance and using the same techniques. So we like to bring forth Syrennia of the Sun. In Lakesh and Veritas, Syrennia, welcome.
In Lakesh and Veritas, Tavares, thank you. In Lakesh and Veritas, LaOta and Jessica. Thanks for having me.
Veritas. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are excited to hear, as you are so concerned with humanity, from the gestation period to the nursing period to the adolescence and on into all of humanity. We're happy to have you as a human here.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So Syrennia, let's start off with the why. What got you into this, and what was that inspiration specifically behind the sprouts and microgreens? And also, feel free to tell us your story, because you're, as LaOta said, everything dealing with new life and nursing, that is you, and that's definitely about sprouts as well. So please do share. Okay.
Yeah, I'd like to start telling you about how I got introduced to just the whole process through my lifetime, this particular lifetime, this journey. So I was initially introduced to herbs through my maternal grandmother as a youth, and she gave them to us as we were growing, and also many herbs that you eat, edible herbs such as dandelions and those types of things. So I was introduced very early. I didn't realize what was going on at the time, but I paid attention and kept it going throughout my lifetime. And so I got an appreciation for the start, back at that time. As I got older and saw what was going on around me, I started working as a nurse. That was my professional career. And I knew very early on in the nursing career that I wanted to work exclusively with moms and infants. And so I started working and helping to bring new life into the world, through labor and delivery. And so I could see the newness in the life. I was always intrigued with the newness and in the infants. And then I went on to assist with nursing, assisting moms with nurturing that particular life. And later on gotten the lactation certification, international lactation certification, to assist moms further on. So later in my journey, I found ending my nursing career, which was in the last couple of years, I found myself working with children in a different capacity, you know, as they got older up through high school. I could see the change in the children as they were maturing. The cells, when they were young, you know, babies, they were so new and vibrant and, you know, bouncy and subtle and just healthy. And as they matured, I could see the children, there was a change in how they presented themselves mentally, emotionally, and physically. They would come to me with many illnesses and starting as early as pre-K. And when I first started working in that scenario, I had the first year there working with children. I had 8 diabetic students. That was unheard of, you know, when I was growing up. And so I could actually see the change in these children. So it was very concerning to me. I got introduced to Of the Sun about 8 years ago through Ellie of the Sun. And, you know, I started studying with LaOta and Of the Sun universe and to the spiritually expanding properties and practices of the Sun universe. So the first time I want to move forward to how I got introduced to the sprouts. So sprouting and microgreen, I'd known the concept, you know, I'd eaten sprouts, you know, like when you go to a salad bar or something, eat some sprouts, but I didn't really understand. I didn't have the full understanding behind what they represented. So we were on a trip with Of the Sun to Molokai, the island of Molokai in Hawaii, and LaOta was giving us some expansive information about foods, you know, foods that contain magical properties, and sprouting was one of them. I was asked to bring some sprouting seeds. I had never grown any sprouting seeds before, but LaOta knew that this was something that was going to be needed at that time. This was about a year and a half ago. And we were there in Molokai, and I said, well, this is like day 2. And I'm like, oh, wow, I should sprout these seeds. I'm going to figure out how to do this. And so I learned how to do that. And as the seeds were growing, I could actually feel that same kind of thing that I would get from the children, seeing the babies as they were born, and also the herbs as they would grow along the pathways. You know, I would as I would walk down the streets, I would like take pictures of herbs, you know, the new life as it would be coming through the concrete. And so it went along that same type of continuum. And so I was so amazed at how the sprouts were growing. And I shared that with LaOta, and then we introduced it to everyone that was with us, and the freshness of it and the aliveness of it. The life of it was just so amazing to me. I would just watch them as they were growing every day, like twice a day. I was rinsing them and watching them, and I was like, wow, I could just see how they would be reaching out, you know, like for the life. So I wanted to, that was how I got introduced. And so now I'm an avid sprouter, microgreener. I have to have me at least a couple of sprouts every morning. That's like the first thing I do. So that's how I got introduced. And as LaOta was talking about us, about what the new life really is, what it means is there's a difference between what the mature cells of an adult have as we get older. As I could see with the children, I could see their cells starting to mature and not growing in the way that the newer cells were going. So we've got the understanding that the cells that the microgreens and sprouts are representing a new life, and beginning.
And this is wonderful. We're so glad that you're telling the story of your own experience with this. You have been educated in Of the Sun to become a communicator and an Akashic record reader, which was not in your impressive bio, but I want to bring it forward. So would you speak a little bit about what that is, and then your communications?
Yes. So in communication, learning to be a communicator, I have learned to tap into the consciousness of a thing. Like I've tapped into the consciousness. I have a love of herbs and plants, and so I have learned to tap into the consciousness of the herbs. And so they communicate with, I give them in lactation veritas. I thank them for coming. I showed, I'm grateful that they're here to serve me and to serve life and humanity. And so I tap into the consciousness. I ask them for their permission. I thank them and I ask them for their permission if they would share with me why they've come to serve humanity. And so I'd like to read one of the transmissions that I've gotten through the Akashic records for the herb known as lemon balm, the consciousness of the herb lemon balm. Would that be fine?
Yes, that would be wonderful. Would you make sure you speak into the mic so we don't miss a word of what you're saying?
Okay. So this is from the herb, the consciousness of lemon balm. We have come to soothe and have come to heal the wounds of the wounded. We come so that your life may be smooth, a smooth ride on your journey. We are a species of the higher order who will assist man with its elevation to the next plane of awareness. There are many levels of elevation within us as we smooth and relax the mind, allowing for consciousness expansion and elevation. There is assistance with receiving of messages through the third eye chakra as well as the crown chakra. As the messages come through, we assist with the transition so that man is more easily able to understand what is being transmitted. We are linked to the higher order and allow greater connection to the higher frequencies and realms, working at the conscious and subconscious levels. We are happy when man partakes in our bounty, and we grow at an expansive level, allowing opportunities for man to focus more intently on his journey. We also soothe the heart, decreasing any emotional irregularities that affect the heart and heart chakra, assisting in the transmission of messages through all parts of the body as we smooth the way for all messages coming from the higher order and higher consciousness frequencies. We act on the muscles, the skin, the eyes, the mouth, the respiratory system, the intestines, the stomach, the joints, the entire body. As we are ingested, we spread rapidly through the system wherever we are needed to relax the tensions that are present, allowing for deeper focus during meditation, deeper concentration, and deeper connection to the expanded realm. Our actions and focus are midbrain and in the back lobes of the brain to assist with relaxation throughout all body parts. Man may freely use us as we are for all and are here to serve all. Ingest us, smooth us on, smell us, touch us, look upon us. We emit a pleasant and uplifting frequency of love and consciousness, expanding, soothing, and anxiety-relieving mellow scent. You may eat us as a food, use us in salves, ointments, creams, tinctures, teas, oils, poultices, douches, enemas, sprays, tonics, washes, or you may hold us. As you gaze upon us, you may be healed. Ingest us freely as often as possible, as often as desired. Rub us on the abdomen of youth and others who are having a challenge with relieving anything that is stuck. We assist with removing things that are stuck in a very calming manner, soothing and relieving. That is what we do, connecting and focusing smoothly. We also assist those who find difficulty in speaking with relaxing the throat chakra, soothing the musculature in the larynx, allowing for words to be easily relieved. For visual difficulty, we ask that a tea and eye wash be made to assist with clarity, focus, relaxation, and harmony, relieving all musculature, back aches, back spasms, all disorders of the brain and central nervous system, calming and connecting to the universal chakra, effectively used during meditation and meditative practices to allow for gentle integration of messages from the universe to the human. We thank you for coming to speak with us.
This is so beautiful. We are so pleased that you have brought forth this truly expansive communication. There are so many things to discuss about it, but before we do this, I would like to have you talk about your process with learning to open up the records in the Akasha and how long it's taken you to achieve this level of clarity Of course, we can calculate it, and Syrennia will tell you I calculate every communication for accuracy. She sometimes
Yes.
has to send me many. However, I would like for you to share, how diligent and the length of time it's taken, which is not a really long time, but you've been working on making sure that your communications were accurate and verifiable, and that we could check the level of truth and consciousness in all of the communications. This communication is coming in right around 100%. So would you talk about that? And then we'll open the floor to see if Jessica and Tavares have anything to share.
Okay. Well, I started studying the Kasha with of the Sun. I started probably about 6 years ago learning the Kasha, but I will tell you, I was at first a little, I like to tell my personal story about it. I was slightly resistant to, receiving the information. I was like, oh no, I do this. I work with herbs. I'm not an Akashic person. That's not what I do. And so I was really resistant to receiving the information at first. And it kept presenting itself to me like, you're supposed to be doing this. Hello, you're supposed to be in the Akasha. You're supposed to be doing this. And so as the herbs were speaking to me, I would be walking, actually, literally, and I shared this with LaOta. I'd be walking down the streets, and the herbs would be like calling out to me, like, look at me, see me over here, no, me. I'd be taking pictures, and I would be with my children sometimes. They'd be like, Mom, why are you taking so many pictures of those plants? And I'm like, because they're talking to me. I mean, like, they were like saying something, like, look over here, look at me. So my phone
Call
like
me up
has
and say, Syrennia would call me up and say, I was walking down the street and they kept calling me. I'm like, okay, stop and talk to them.
So I had to actually go from my regular phone capacity to extending my plan out to iCloud, because I was taking so many pictures of the herbs, and I was like, okay. So, and then when they were calling to me, I was like, okay, this means that I am an Akashic reader. I am supposed to be in the Akasha, and I'm supposed to be learning it. So in the last couple of years, I would say, is really when I started, really the last year is really when I started to accept that this is my journey, and this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And I had the pleasure and honor of working with LaOta, working with the herbs and speaking with some of them. And she's like, okay, well, what else? Check this out. And whenever we go into the Akasha, we're taught during these practices to always be accurate. Check for accuracy in everything that we do. Don't make any assumptions about anything. Always check for accuracy. And so that is, and strive for 100% accuracy. That is the goal. And so I would keep doing it. She's like, okay, again, and so I got it to a certain percentage. And so, when I got there, I was like so excited. I was like, oh, I'm finally, I'm there. I could and I really felt confident as I was, the more I would do it, the more confident I would become, and the more I could see that the plants were willing to share the information with me, and the herbs, the consciousness of the herbs would really share with me. And I've even found a personal relationship with my plants here, not my edible plants, but the plants that clean my environment. If they're like in sync with me. I mean, it's really like amazing. It's all the same. I give them Illikash, and they clear for me and keep me safe, and I have to hydrate them when I'm dehydrated, and my plants are showing up the same kind of way. So it's like this amazing. The whole process is amazing. So
Well, thank you for sharing that. I'm not sure, I hope you'll correct me if needed. Yeah. But I'm not sure, you've been to Hawaii several times for the magical food class, but it seems to me that early on, Was it you who spoke about the blueberries? Because I tell that story often, but I can't remember which communicator. Part of going to the magical food classes, there's a communication between the student and the food, and there's a lot of exploration and open new territory. Was that you in the class who talked to the blueberries and talked about how they
Um,
were treated well, but then they were frozen and it
oh,
traumatized them?
no,
Were
that
you in
wasn't
that
me.
class?
I was in the class though, so I remember the person speaking about that.
Right. So we had a class, and this speaks to the idea. In Hawaii, we talked to all the food, and we talked to what it does, and we asked it to release its magic, and we discussed, its origins. When did it get here? How does it work with humanity? All of these things, and the students meditate and begin the process of learning to communicate. And we had some frozen blueberries that we were going to eat that day. And the student was given the instruction to find out if the blueberries had been treated appropriately during their growing process. And the blueberries responded that they had been treated appropriately. However, the farmer did not tell them that they were going to be frozen. So when they collected them and sent them, they were traumatized. And so we needed to give them Inlakesh and Veritas to release the suffering of the trauma, so that they would be edible for us and we wouldn't be ingesting the trauma. And I tell this story because it happened during our class, but more importantly, that the necessity of being able to speak to food that you're going to ingest, because then you are what you eat. And if you ingest trauma, then you're traumatized. So I know you were there and impacted by that. Do you recall that experience?
I do recall that experience, and I was like, I hadn't really thought about that, in that way. And then when she said that, I was like, wow, that was really, that made me much more aware of, you had already shared with us that everything has consciousness and to eat live foods. And, but I hadn't thought like, wow, they were in pain and, and if they're in pain, then that's shared with us as well. And so we need to assist them in releasing any suffering that they have incurred on their journey to us. Because by the time, they've gone from being planted and, to being grown and harvested and then transported back multiple times, and handled and just traumatized, frozen and then thawed and swirled around in a blender.
All right. I feel their pain. As I listen to that, I'm imagining myself, man, what if that was me? That is torture. I would like to say though, speaking on the idea of consciousness, it's truly wonderful, Syrennia, to hear you openly speak on this deeper understanding of interacting with other forms of consciousness in your everyday experience. Like, you really tickled me when you were taking photos and your children were like, Mom, what are you doing? I'm talking to the plants. They're talking to me. And how that has expanded your understandings and the passion that you already had with plants and herbs into a deeper, richer experience, all from acknowledgement, all from interacting and acknowledging, hey, you have something to say. As well as with your houseplants, and I'm sure that there are other people who are having these experiences, but this helps them move deeper into it. And, it's not just you. Yeah, your houseplants are saying, hey, water me. Yeah, you're just going to walk past me? Hey, water me. They speak to us. Or in this case, they have more information to share in terms of the benefits that are not well understood by our modern scientists in medicine. It's deeper than the physical. So thank you.
And this
You're
is
welcome.
really, really wonderful, because some people find this so difficult to. I'm laughing because Tavares got up in the middle of your speaking, went into the kitchen and got some sprouts out of the sprouting tray and brought them in here and started chewing them. And I was sure you could hear him chewing them. Then he had to mute the mic because he was chewing his sprouts so loud.
I was inspired, Syrennia and Jessica. I was inspired.
Well, I don't have sprouts. I have mint leaf or basil. It's the same. It's equal.
Yes.
So Jessica, have you found this, how have you found our guest today and her story?
Oh, absolutely resonates with me because my fiance bought plants because we have this balcony, and I was like, we should put some plants on the balcony, and I kept saying it over and over again, and then he went out and bought a bunch of plants like mint leaf and basil and peppers and things that are like herbs and spices that we love to have, but buying them from a grocery store, I noticed they were often wrapped in like plastic packaging, or they had been shipped long distances, like mint leaf from, sold in, for example, California, that was shipped all the way from like Chile or, and I started thinking like, this is something we could grow on a balcony. Why do we need to contribute to that economy of, the gas and the wasting natural resources to ship herbs whenever they can just sprout anywhere? And so we started doing that, and I absolutely love having those plants. I can't even tell you. It's not only that you have that earth and greenery on your balcony that you can touch anytime, but it's that I can just go out there every day and take, herbs, fresh herbs, straight out of earth for my salads and meals and everything. And it's really nice. And it's like the spiritual side of that is that what I'm taking from the earth is constantly being replaced. So there's a cycle that's happening. Whenever I cut the pieces off the mint leaf, within probably about a week or so, more have grown. It continuously regenerates, and we kind of have a symbiotic relationship where it understands that I will take off of it, and it will just keep growing and growing and growing. So it's really beautiful, actually.
Well, I really am happy you brought that up. It brings to mind something that happened. I've been teaching my grandchildren to speak to consciousness for many years. And so they often will, when they FaceTime me, if they see something in the room, I have sometimes roses outside my window, or I'll have a basil plant on my desk. And I'll say, okay, let's talk to the roses, or let's talk to the plant today. And so my grandson started talking to the basil plant. He's like, how do you like being on grandma's desk? And the basil plant told him, oh, I love watching grandma clear. It makes me taste better. And he says, well, do you want to be eaten? And it's like, that's what I was designed for. And I want to taste good too. And being here, watching the clearings makes me taste better. And so this is what my grandson told me that the basil plant said to him. And this is maybe a year ago, because I had a basil plant on my desk that tastes delicious. And I've watched many, many, many clearings. So there's so much to be said about this whole idea. And then Syrennia, you did mention about the plants in the house. And I think Tavares has something to say about that.
Yeah, so back in the day, well, specifically 2018, LaOta did a talk on air. And for those who are listening, LaOta releases a monthly self-healing class every month, speaking on a different element. We are the element, so this is helping you learn who you are and move into a deeper, grander relationship with self and all aspects of you. So specifically, air, and this talk was geared more towards plants and different air solutions, because the reason why is because we live in an environment where our air is very toxic. It's not just the negative frequencies of the low vibrational thought patterns and waveforms, but there's also toxins in the air. So there's a confluence of negativity that's happening in the air, and plants are a solution to this. So we had a variety of different plants that you could place in your home, such as the areca palm, that it takes carbon dioxide, turns it back into oxygen. It lowers the carbon dioxide levels and removes certain pollutants from the air. Snake plants, this is something that many people are familiar with, that also converts CO2 to oxygen, which is great. So there's this symbiotic relationship where what we're exhaling out, the plants are taking that and converting that into a gift for us, more life, and that's what this is all about. And as I was pulling up my email with this information, I noticed there was a money tree on here, and I unconsciously purchased a money tree for my bedroom, and I'm so in love with this tree, and I have to get another one. But it's, again, another plant that helps purifies polluted air, other synthetic chemicals and cleaning products, and helps reduce stress and anxiety. So it's simple things like this where these forms of consciousness, interacting with them, they provide so many different benefits.
These especially are recommended for in-home use. So it's great to have things that are different places, things that are inside, things on the patio, things in the yard. And so these are specific in that area. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that.
And by the way, if for anyone listening, if you want to tune into that talk, it is Air Part 3. Air Part 3, you can find it on the Evolutionary classes and workshops page. We also have it accompanied with a meditation as well. So it's really awesome. Do yourself a favor.
On the Of the Sun website.
Yes, ofthesun.com, of the Sun, Suncast.
So, Syrennia, do you have any of those plants in your environment in the home?
I have them all.
Go figure.
I have the Areca palm. And those were the, specifically the Areca palm was really speaking with me. And it got to the place where, I had bought it and I didn't notice that it had some little brown leaves on it. And after a while, I was like, wait a minute, what's going on? And if the plant said to me, because I spoke about it in an Akashic class that we had with Ellie of the Sun, and the plants were saying, because they all communicate, when something's going on, then they all communicate with each other. They're along the same vibration and consciousness. And they're like, you weren't paying attention. We were wondering, were you going to turn around and look and notice that we had some spider mites on us? I was like apologizing, giving it a lacasse. I was washing it off with the soapy peppermint Castile soap and just spraying it. So they get a spa treatment every week. They're getting one right now. They're under the humidifier and they just love it. They're leaning. Areca, I'm looking at it right now. They're just leaning in and getting all of the lusciousness of the water and hydration. So they love that, and they've really responded, to that, to my paying attention to them. And it corresponds to me paying attention to myself.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Because everything that you look outside yourself and see is really a reflection of you looking back at you. So
right.
Understanding that the plants do help us understand that. Would you share with us your different websites?
Yes. I have a personal business website of Yareus.com, and Yareus is spelled Yareus. And I have another website of my Inlakesh franchises, Inlakesh Studio 4 is FOUR.com.
And can people go there and find information about the different things that you're doing, the different interesting things you're doing with plants and otherwise?
Yes. On my Yareus website, you'll find information on the seeds, the sprouting seeds and supplies that I sell, as well as the information on clearing, because I am a clearer. And you can buy the clearing services. You can buy other services. I do some food translation, soul translation. I also have many other products of the Sun Universe on there. I use through my with my sprouting, I use the stashers, which is the silicone bags that we can that I put my sprouts in after they're done, so that I will avoid using any plastic. And I also use these stashers for cooking as well. I love to
talk
cook.
about that a little bit, would you? Because I understand that you delivered a catered lunch to a recent class. That was quite a hit, I have heard through the grapevine. That you delivered
Yeah.
a lunch in stasher silicone packets and that you explored the different ways of cooking with them. They're not just
Right.
for storage.
Right, and I had heard LaOta had spoken about how she cooks in them. She was talking how she cooked some items in it. And I was like, what? I'm gonna buy some. So I bought some, and I've been using them primarily for my sprouting. And so we were having a class on an aromatherapy class with Ellie of the Sun, which is like really expansive as well. And I brought some lunch over, and I was like, well, I had taken them out of another pan that I had them in, a clay pan that I had them in because it was heavy. And I said, well, what LaOta said, these stashes work well. I'm just going to store them in there, and I'm going to heat them all in the same thing because I had grilled these veggies. And I put them in there, and we just put them right in the oven, and they were smelling so good, and they were bubbling so nicely. And when we opened the packet, everything was right there. You could store and seal and cook right in the same packets. It was amazing. They were easy to clean, and easily transported, everything. So, and they cooked so well. It was I likened it to like sous vide. When something is sous vide,
Would you
cooks
explain
very
that
much.
for our listening audience, for those who do not know about sous vide?
Well, this is from watching cooking shows, but they when they would put the sous vide, they put like an item in a particular type of packaging. It's like they usually use plastic though, and then they would seal it to get the particular type of seasoning that they want in that particular meat or item, and they put it in the water. They sit the seal and it cooks nicely, cooks the juices, seals the juices and the flavors inside. So it was very similar to that experience. It just sealed everything nicely, and I was really impressed. And I finally expanded my understanding of how to use these stashers, and so I was like, I gotta use this more now, more often.
We are restocking with all of the beautiful new colors and all the new sizes.
Mm-hmm.
We have them on the website, and we'll have the new colors coming up very soon. But it's nice because they go from freezer or storage to refrigeration to sous vide in the hot water or into the oven, and it's silicone, no plastic, no aluminum, and they're reusable. What a wonderful gift. And so we are happy to have those, and I'm happy that you brought it forward. I hadn't really thought about that. This, we are having such a good time with you, but I don't want to leave you without the breakthrough information that you have recently received from the plants. So I'd like to know if you will come forward with the next herbal communication that talks about new life. Because this is quite exciting that we're able to discuss this with you.
Okay. The information I have is the principles of new life. Sprouts, microgreens, and seeds represent new life. The sprouting, the microgreen seeds represent new life, the principle of new life. As sprouts and microgreens grow, they assist by replacing the old cells with their new energies and the essence of life itself. What's the difference between mature life and new life? Mature cells are cells that are at the end of their life cycle and there's no additional growth past the point of maturity. Their energies are slow and dragging, and this makes them prone to disease and destruction. COVID-19 represents the energy of destruction laying in wait to attack mature cells, compounded by negative thought patterns and their associated energies. New life is represented in the sprouting, microgreen seeds, babies, infants, and stem cells. Babies and stem cells represent new life. Babies are quickly growing, very fresh, and their skin is smooth and plump. Their cells are replicating rapidly, and they're constantly shedding their older cells, moving them out of the way. They're growing rapidly and are full of energy and life. Stem cells are baby cells and are used to replace toxic, mature cells, which no longer support life. Sprouts microgreens will assist with disease prevention and with preservation of life. This is an excerpt from a coffee communication I did with the red clover sprouts. We have come to radiate man and humankind to give life and vitality. We are protecting and envelop the body. Nourishment is more easily available as we purify and clean. And then I go on to talk about how I was introduced to the art and wonderment of sprouting while with Of the Sun Universe at Molokai in Molokai, Hawaii over a year and a half ago through LaOta of the Sun. And I say, as I grow the sprout seeds, I checked on them twice a day, moistening and hydrating them and giving them Invocation Veritas as they made their journey outward to reveal their true beauty. Every time I checked the sprouts, there were more and more progress. First, a tiny crack in the seed was noted, and then more and more was revealed. About day 3, the heads of the sprouts had started to turn yellow with a greenish tinge. I uncovered the sprouts, and they immediately started to turn green and shiny. During the process of sprouting, I could see that the sprouts were literally reaching for the light. I was in amazement. The energy literally was radiating from that tiny sprout seed toward me. It was awesome. There was a little light where the sprouts were growing, yet they grew as if they were out in the sunlight. I had eaten sprouts before that time, but this was a defining moment for me, and I was hooked. They tasted fresh and energizing, and all who were present were able to enjoy them as well. Since that time, I have started to grow sprouts, expanding to microgreen sprout seeds in water. I drink sprouted milks as well, sprouted seed milks, the ferments. The life that comes from this tiniest seed is so amazingly marvelous and beautiful, shiny, green, and new. Reaching for the tiniest speck of light, grabbing hold of it and embracing it, taking it inside of its essence and sharing that essence with whomever ingests it. As I watch them grow, I myself feel invigorated. I also drink the seed of the water of the first day of sprouting to add more life to my day or evening, especially if I'm in need of a little extra energy. I am forever in gratitude for this experience and relationship with new life and the ability to share this with humanity, beginning with myself. Sprouts are known to increase immunity, easily available, make amino acids, which are the building blocks of proteins, easily available. They make beans more easy to digest by sprouting them. They increase brain health, increase blood sugar control, increase good cholesterol, decrease cancer, weight loss, low calorie, high fiber, high in vitamins, usually vitamin C and K, are higher in iron and minerals, easy to use, fun to grow with family, lovely, beautiful, and amazing to watch, and cost effective. And I just talk about how I eat them. I eat them in order to get the energy of the new cell, new life, and they're recommended to be eaten at least daily, a couple of days. And it's recommended to have new life constantly moving throughout your body in order to promote and save your cells to save your life. They are preventive and invigorating, immediately replacing mature cells with new cells. You can eat them in smoothies, over food, omelets, soups, and salad, however you want. I just eat them fresh every morning with some fermented veggies. I had some with hemp seeds today and usually some berries. Invocation Veritas.
Thank you, Invocation Veritas. This is such a wonderful contribution to the health of humanity. This breakthrough idea, people are doing all kinds of scientific experiments, paying all kinds of money for stem cells, and who would have guessed? The sprouts told us they are the stem cell. They are the new life that replaces the life that matures and dies off. As Tavares would say, the slow die, that we're all slowly dying, but the stem cells or the sprouts, the new life in the seed milk replaces that and can give us health and longevity. There is very little that is more important than our health at this time of the world and what we're going through. We encourage everyone to become a sprout lover, to understand the science and the facts that support using new life every day to help assure your life in the future. Does anyone have any comments?
Yes, I have one comment here. You mentioned, Syrennia, something about sprouts being the solution to COVID-19 and this idea that the virus is here to destroy life. However, sprouts help with the preservation of life. So, within the media, everyone's talking about wearing a mask, use your antibacterial hand cleaner, but no one's talking about immunity. and strengthening your
Right.
immunity, or the idea of putting life in you and making the body alkaline. And sprouts are definitely a solution to that. And it triggered the thought of the sun has what is called Fortify, which is a rebuilding immune system protocol, which consists of ionic silver, cultured vegetables for your microbiome, sun and sea coffee so that you can get the chlorella, the green, the nutrition that's needed, garlic, which is antimicrobial and great for digestion, bone broth, another that's great for digestion and the stomach lining, and meditation, and sending yourself oneness and truth, and lactation veritas, so that, again, we can release our suffering. And sprouts is definitely an adjunct to this because it is, again, helping preserve life. And as you mentioned, this idea that it was so vivid. And by the way, I caught chills and goosebumps when I was listening to the communication of this idea of the seed taking in the source of light, and it's just so real and powerful. That what really hit home, and it's just so clear, this comparison with humans, and as we are from when we're young and then we get older, clearly there's something that is being lost within the human experience, and it is that the new life, adding that, continuing to add that aspect into our being, and sprouts is definitely a way that we can do that. So again, thank you. And for those who have an interest to learn about what you can do to assist with rebuilding your immune system along with the sprouts, you can visit the EVOSUN website. On the main tab is evolutionary practices, and that'll give you a breakdown of not only all of the various practices that we have that are freely giving from of the sun to you, but also the Fortify Rebuild Immune System Protocol. So, and also links to the different products as well that can help you strengthen and fortify yourself.
Syrennia, would you be willing to come back and visit with us and discuss some of the magical foods and the immune protocol for another show?
Yes, I'd be happy to come back.
That would be
Absolutely.
wonderful. Jessica, you have any final words before we go?
Oh my gosh, this is like so exciting of a discussion to have, because I've gotten into the growing plants more recently, but I think Syrennia's, the depth of your knowledge and being able to communicate the way that you do is like very inspiring. And it's funny, sometimes whenever I take a piece off one of the plants, I always kind of like ask it first. I'm always like, can I take this side? And then I have to wait for that communication to come back. Like, no. So the other day I was trying to take some off the mint leaf, and it was telling me, no, take the other side.
Yeah.
So, because apparently the one side had been like bleached out by the sun and the other side was more flavorful. So, yeah.
So
I almost want to say, like, little plant, what can I do to repay you? All you're doing is giving to me,
I think clearing would be an answer.
Clearing, yeah.
By little in lactation veritas.
Right. They love that.
Yes, they do. And Syrennia, it's been really a pleasure to have you. And we will be having a follow-up show discussing more of magical foods, more of the immune system. And we hope you'll tune in soon.
Thank you.
All right, everyone. For those who are listening, may we all strive to be the frequency of truth. Shall we speak the truth, hear the truth, and hear the truth in all things. In lactation veritas.
In lactation veritas.
In lactation veritas.